it is always heated between these two universities. A look at the starters. We told you about where Ole Miss sits. What a 7-day stretch it's been for them. The victory last weekend at Vanderbilt. They follow that up with the win Wednesday over Auburn. And the terrific three-guard alignment. Weatherspoon, the Weatherspoon brothers, Nick and Quindary. And Lamar Peters, we've already touched on Eric Holman's season at the top. Just about ready. As Abdul Adu steps into the center circle with Dominique Olenicek for Ole Miss, and we're underway here in Starkville. Better than 10,000, Clark, standing room only, and you can feel the heat in this building.
Yes, you can.
Between these two bitter rivals.
Terrific environment here.
It's Quindary, Weatherspoon. We know that Holman can shoot the three, and he strokes it to get the party started.
Well, I talked about it at the top. He's averaged 20 points a game in his last four. In those 4 games, Spiro, 13 of 22 from behind the arc.
It's Devontae Shuler, and he has the answer for Ole Miss.
These teams mirror images of each other, Spiro, in terms of the numbers. They both average 80 points a game, give up 67, shoot a high percentage from the floor, from the three, and from the foul line. Should be an up-tempo, entertaining game.
Mississippi State saw their 9-game winning streak end earlier this week as we have an injured player on the floor. That is Breon Tyree. Oh boy, certainly not what Ole Miss wanted to see so early in this game. He's their leading scorer at better than 17 points per game. Clark, you see him coming around the screen there, set by Holman. It's the left shoulder that Ole Miss's trainer Andrew Bykey is looking at. Tyree is a right-handed shooter. He's out of Somerset, New Jersey. Player of the week in the SEC for his incredible performance last Saturday against Vanderbilt to 31 points, and they can ill afford to lose him, Clark, for any stretch.
Man, I tell you, it's one thing that deflates you when you watch a game is injuries, and it appears that great to see him get up under his own strength, but he's, I think, going to probably head directly to the locker room to get that shoulder looked at.
You could see him just kind of fall to the
he was
floor
in obvious
agony.
pain, significant pain too, Spiro. But we'll hope that it looks worse than it actually is. Here you don't see a ton, although you see that he bumps his shoulder into the elbow of Eric Holman. And another look at it from a different angle from up top. There you see a little bit of a moving screen there by Holman, but more concerned about Tyree there. Not quite sure what the officials are looking at here. Well, there was no foul call, so perhaps they may be looking at the time on the clock.
Our officiating crew, Todd Austin, Jason Baker, and Owen Short. Young officiating crew here in Starkville today. Clark, maybe to see if there was anything that they missed.
Perhaps, good call.
Excessive contact.
In terms of anything.
And we will. All right, so the officials do confirm no foul, but they did want to take a second look at the video.
You called it, Spiro. You were right on top of it. Just making sure there was nothing out of line in that contact. It was deemed incidental, and we play on.
Clark, psychologically, you wonder now, Ole Miss, as they see one of their star players in the locker room, how do they respond? Here's Peters. That's a three. Front of the rim, no good, and the rebound by Olenicek. The Rebels team on the rise behind their first-year head coach, Kermit Davis. This is Blake Hinson on a three. It's tipped up and in. It will not count. The foul charged here to KJ Buffin, who has just checked in for the injured Tyree. There's Kermit Davis, year run. What a start for him, the Mississippi State graduate. No stranger to this city and this university. Played here, graduated in 1982. His father, Kermit Sr., such a beloved former player and head coach. As Nick Weatherspoon, a beautiful backdoor cut to get Mississippi State the lead.
Well, you talk about Kermit Davis. Delightful visiting with him last night. First time I've had a chance to meet him. Outstanding coach and excited about having the opportunity to bring his Rebels team in here against his alma mater. Kermit actually got 2 degrees from here.
That's right.
An undergrad and a master's degree, and just a terrific coach. Here we see the little 1-3-1, Spiro. This is something that Ole Miss does really well. They trap at the corners and then rotate and try to challenge shots, but that shot will be available if you take care of the ball and you move it side to side. The corners are vulnerable against the 1-3-1 half-court trap.
You see Bryant Tyree, good sign for Ole Miss, making his way back to the Rebels bench. Peters, meantime, that dramatic improvement in his 3-point shot since last season. That's the Bulldogs a 3-point lead, as I do with the steal. Open look from Quindary Weatherspoon off target. Here comes Davis up the floor. Now to Hinson inside, and he goes off glass.
Beautifully done in transition. And that's where Terrence Davis shows you why he leads this team in assists. Took his time, was going at about 60 miles an hour, slowed it down to 45 so he could give Hinson that nice pass.
Hinson, a freshman, someone that his head coach Kermit Davis thinks very, very highly of. Played his high school basketball at Sunrise Christian Academy in Kansas, was the #1 rated high school player in that state last year as Ole Miss turns it over.
You see there, Terrence Davis with the hard push, slowed it down, and then a nice cut that time by Blake Hinson, and he's a very impressive looking freshman. Gets it done inside and also can shoot the 3.
It's so fascinating to see these 2 dynamic backcourts go at it. That is Quindary Weatherspoon, as he has missed his first 2 looks. The Rebels have won 9 straight games for the first time in 6 years. Let's go all the way back to that 12-13 season as Terrence Davis, who can heat up in a hurry. 27 points Wednesday over Auburn, as we get a quick whistle here once again against Buffin. And this, I believe, was a technical. Let's see how the officials sorted here.
I think it was on Buffin, Spiro. And again, we talked about the intensity of this rival. It's red hot, and Buffin a tad emotional. May have said something. And both of these teams are really amped up for this one. I heard a little jaw-jacking going on before the game between some of the players. And it's all right to have a little edge, but you have to keep it tamped down and under control. You don't want your edge leading to technicals.
Technical against Buffin, and that, of course, counts as his 2nd personal. Picked up an early personal as soon as he stepped in. But the good news here for Kermit Davis and the Rebels is the return of Bryant Tyree. The young man averaging better than 17 points per game. Here's Peters probing that Rebels defense. Peters pulls up from deep. Clark, is that what you call the old heat check?
Yep, it was, and he's taken 2 that are questionable. One off of one pass, and then challenged in that one. Not much ball or player movement either, so he's got to be a little more judicious with his shot selection.
Here's Tyree, who's still kind of grimacing in pain a little bit. Open look for Davis, a little bit short. Weak side rebound, Holman.
Yeah, we'll keep an isolated cam on Tyree. He's actually just kind of hanging that left arm along, but trying to fight through the pain. May hamper his effectiveness. There he is, not even aware defensively, and he may have to come out.
That's the 2nd terrific backdoor cut in this game by Nick Weatherspoon. That's resulted in a couple of layups. One thing Kermit Davis said, the difference in the energy level in Mississippi State when they play in this building compared to the road has been incredible. And that 3-point shooting, meantime, continues for Ole Miss. Terrence Davis with his 2nd triple. Clark, we expected this one to be fun, and they have not disappointed. A couple of minutes into the game, here comes Hinson, the freshman, to the rack and finishes again.
Well, Boy, that's nice work by the Rebels in transition, and Henson has been the finisher both times. That time he self-served. He did the U-scan and took it himself. The other time he got a nice pass from Davis.
Henson, the first Rebel freshman to start a season opener in 10 years. You have to go back to 2008. Terrence Henry, and the freshman who started every game this season. Peters, no, it's tipped up and in by Yadu. Yadu, a redshirt sophomore, born in Lagos, Nigeria. Played his high school basketball in the state of Tennessee at Hamilton Heights. Finally healthy again. Missed a couple of games earlier in the season with an ankle injury and had a rib issue as well, as Olenicek with another basket.
Boy, Mississippi does a nice job executing its stuff. When the opportunity is there in transition, they'll hit you and take advantage of it. But that time, just a nice little slice cut by Olenicek and a good pass and finish.
Ole Miss has hit 6 of their last 7 shots. This is Peters underneath, will reset. Holman from deep. Weak side rebound, Quindary Weatherspoon. Traveling violation, basket does not count. Third turnover committed by Mississippi State, as Olenicek with a violent finish for the Rebels.
First tattoo?
Yeah.
Allen somewhere in that timeout huddle. Year 4, what a start for him here in Starkville. Has resurrected his coaching career. Of course, that abrupt end in UCLA out at Westwood in 2013. But my goodness, has he turned around this program. Natural progression year to year. 25 victories last year. And a lot of people feel like, Clark, they are poised for their first tournament appearance here in Starkville in a decade. Haven't gotten there since 2009, but 14th in the country.
Yeah, well, Ben Holland's done a fantastic job wherever he's been. And typically in year 3 or 4 is when things turn as far as NCAA tournament berths. Northern Arizona, Pittsburgh, UCLA, and this Mississippi State team ranked in the top 25 all season long. And both of these teams, to me, Spiro, have the real look of tournament teams. They're high octane offensively, well coached, good defensively. I think we'll see them both in March.
Brilliant Tyree misses on a 3-pointer. Officials during the timeout changed a 2-pointer to a 3 for Ole Miss. So that is the change in the score. Tyson Carter, who's just checked into the game for Mississippi State, putting his imprint on this game quickly. And there's Carter defensively turning back Schuler. Carter, a junior, he's a Starkville kid, local product here. Perry. So a couple of bench players coming in and quickly making a contribution. Reggie Perry, a freshman out of Thomasville, Georgia, the southern part of the state.
And he's got the body of a grown man. I stood next to him in warm-up, Spiro. I was floored by how big this young man is as a freshman.
Perry has been much better here at home, something you certainly expect from a freshman and underclassman.
No doubt, and the Bulldogs have been much better because of the energy with which they play here. They typically don't turn it over. They score 88 points a game here at home on average. Good look.
This is Bruce Stevens, who has yet to really get his game going. A whistle blown, looks like away from the ball. It's on Mississippi State, and we'll get a timeout. Sports networks cover news and highlights without the hot takes. Stream CBS Sports HQ, the free 24/7 sports network for highlights, analysis, and fantasy advice. Download the CBS Sports app to watch CBS Sports HQ today. Talked about Kermit Davis's deep ties to Mississippi State. Of course, the 1982 graduate here. His father, Kermit Sr., beloved head coach. Long-time run after a very successful playing career. Played here in the late 50s, early 60s under the legendary Babe McCarthy. And Kermit told us yesterday, as Terrence Davis with a one-handed catch and finish off the feed from Henson.
Boy, Henson's been very impressive. That was a heck of a pass. Great catch and finish, but that pass was exactly where it needed to be.
That's Perry on a 3 short. Kermit told us yesterday, Clark, it's actually the first time he's back in this building since 2001 when he was an assistant with LSU. An emotional return as he walked into this gym last night for their shoot-around.
No doubt about it. Good look there. That's what he can do. He's got a nice mid-range game off the dribble in addition to the three-point shot. So good to see Tyree out there shaking off that shoulder injury to the left shoulder when he got bumped on the screen early in this ball game.
Ole Miss telling us officially it was a shoulder sprain for Tyree, but he's gritting through it right now.
Well, he
And
wouldn't want to miss this one.
His first bucket.
I talked about guys jaw-jacking a little bit prior to the game. He was right in the middle of it.
Those Jersey kids like to talk trash.
Just a little bit. I don't know about that being a guy from Jersey.
That's Tyree a little bit too much, and the rebound by Nick Weatherspoon. Speaking of trash talking, a young brash kid, what a player he has been. The Canton, Mississippi native, third field goal.
But to his credit, as the jaw-jacking was going on prior to the game, Nick basically said, my game is going to do the talking. He did not get involved in it, and so far, he's off to a great start with his game.
What a player he's become. Here he is again, a sophomore, younger brother of Quindary, as they form one of the best backcourts, certainly in the conference and maybe in the country. Rebound underneath by Stevens. So Ole Miss looking to really kind of put an exclamation point on what has been just an incredible 7-day stretch. The win at Vandy last weekend, and they beat number 11 Auburn on Wednesday night as Nick Weatherspoon hits the deck. Hinson didn't appreciate how Witherspoon got up, and the jawing continues.
Oh, man. This is real red-hot, intense rivalry balling here at the hump. Contact, foul on Hinson, no doubt. Witherspoon trying to get up. And there you see, that's the foul, clearly. Oh, yeah, then Witherspoon did a little extra in his effort to get up. Oh, man.
So both Nick Weatherspoon and Hinson will sit. That was the first personal on Hinson as the freshman takes a seat alongside Kermit Davis. Just past the midway point, first half. Beautiful backdoor cut. Peters able to find Robert Woodard and a chance at a three-point play.
Excellent job here by Peters. And again, you get behind that zone when guys are ball gawking. Davis was watching the ball and wasn't aware of Woodard. And this young man, as impressive physically as is Reggie Perry. I mean, you look at these two young guys, you go in the weight room and see them lifting, you think they're 3 or 4 years, I mean, they're third or fourth year guys in college. I mean, these guys have upperclassmen bodies. Great work that time by Perry.
Looking like a young Clark Kellogg.
Chase it down, man. You get extra opportunities and a chance to score it if you can go get it.
Extra possession here for the Bulldogs. Look at Peters showing the handle. Outside to Carter. In and out. Offensive rebound. Perry, and he's able to clean it up. And Ole Miss wants a timeout.
Bring your friends, bring your family, and bring on the flavor. Because nothing goes together like good times and the great taste of Zaxby's boneless wings with new Caribbean jerk sauce. Featuring fruity mango, habanero, and jerk spices for a flavor combination like no other. Try Zaxby's boneless wings meal tossed in our new Caribbean jerk sauce. Or customize your meal with any of our other 9 delicious sauces. Order ahead at Zaxby's.com or use our app and skip the wait. Zaxby's, friends, family, flavor.
Well, tomorrow it's predicted that it will change the world even more than the invention of electricity. How will artificial intelligence affect your future? Tomorrow on 60 Minutes.
Well, the Bulldogs getting a nice lift from the bench. Penetration and pitch here by Peters. Good look for Carter, doesn't go, but look at the work Perry does. Just because you're behind a guy blocking you out doesn't mean you go over the back. You've got to be on the back for it to be a foul. That time Perry effectively went over the back. 8-zip points off the bench in favor of the Bulldogs. Make it still 8-zip. It was almost going to be 10-zip if Perry could have converted.
Reggie Perry, a McDonald's All-American last season at Thomasville High School in Georgia. Right now, Clark doing it at both ends.
He really is. Big fella, active there defensively, and he's got tremendous hands. In addition to that Adonis body, he's got great hands.
6 straight points for the Bulldogs, looking for more here. That is Woodard. And right now, Ben Howland getting a nice little push from his underclassmen. Woodard rated the #1 high school prospect in the state of Mississippi last season out of Columbus High School just up the road. There comes Buffin playing with 2 personals and another steal by Perry.
Boy, he's been terrific. So alert and aware. Came off his man to steal that ball from Buffin.
5 turnovers by Ole Miss. And this will be a palming violation against Peters, and he is mystified.
Well, it's not called often, but that was the right call. You get your hand underneath and then on top of the ball, that's a carry. You can dribble the ball on top of it as much as you want, but you can't palm it and park the ball and think it's a continued dribble. That ball came to rest in his palms before he took the next dribble.
Here's Tyree, well challenged by Peters, front of the rim, no, and the rebound by Perry, who is owning the floor right now for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, he's been dominant.
Peters, the drive and kick. This is Woodard, the freshman. Crossover dribble, splash, and he is fouled. Ten straight for Mississippi State. Robert Woodard, the freshman, putting his talents on display on the national stage.
Count Pamplemousse.
Just past the 8-minute mark, first half, and what has been an electric scene here in Starkville, Mississippi. Your game summary with Mississippi State having scored 10 straight points as they have opened up a 7-point lead over Ole Miss. There's Kermit Davis, emotional return back to Starkville, former graduate. His mother, Nancy, has made the drive, still lives in Tupelo with Kermit Sr. Kermit told us that his father, Sr., actually just got out of the hospital, was suffering from pneumonia, but he is better and resting comfortably. And Clark, no doubt, watching this game at home.
Yep, and pulling for his son, I'm sure. And Mississippi has struggled to score the last couple of trips down. And these young fellas from Mississippi State, Woodard and Perry, have taken over this stretch.
That last Ole Miss foul, by the way, was charged to Terrence Davis. Here he is now playing with 2 personals. Nearly turned it over. 3-point shot from D.C. Davis, who's just checked in, off target. And right now, Ole Miss desperate for some points. Peters from downtown. And right now, the Rebels taking it on the chin.
Well, exactly what Kermit Davis was afraid of. The energy level of this talented Bulldogs team goes up a couple of notches at home, and they've executed beautifully here the last couple of minutes. How about that big time finish by Blake Henson?
Boy, looking anything but like a freshman. Ole Miss had missed 5 straight shots, their first points in more than 4 minutes. Davis defends Carter. Inside, knocked out of bounds by Olenichek with 15 seconds to shoot.
Well, we talked about him at the top. Lamar Peters, LP, makes it happen. So improved as a 3-point shooter. He's right around 50% from the 3-point line on the season. There he does a nice job. On balance, head up, beautiful dime dropping. Assist ratio of 2-to-1 and averaging 6 assists a game, but he really is the difference maker, I think, for Mississippi State. When he's good, they're excellent.
A beautiful pass by Carter, but Adu couldn't finish. We visited with Peters yesterday. New Orleans kid, really kind of grew up with a brashness to his game, and it's taken him about 2 full years to get acclimated to playing for a coach like Ben Howland. Has really had to kind of temper his emotions, and the progression he's made, Clark, from a maturity standpoint, as Quindary Weatherspoon will shoot free throws here. the progress he's made in that maturity department since the end of last season to this year really has been remarkable.
It has been, and it's a credit to Lamar Peters because he recognized he needed to own his development and make some changes. I would tell you this, most coaches would much rather have guys that they have to turn down than turn up. And Peters and Ben Howland have been able to work through that. But most of that work you give the credit to Peters for, because he knew he had to adjust and adapt in order to be his best for himself and for his team.
And that's really the Ben Howland effect.
Love the way Ben Howland teaches. I mean, I've had a chance to do a number of his games over the years, and just how he instructs. He's firm and demanding, but always. He had a line yesterday in practice where he said a kid had missed a layup. He said, don't get frustrated, learn. And that's the approach that most coaches take. They want to teach you how to be your best and help you get there.
Tyree is fouled. Howland, of course, as we mentioned, fired from UCLA in 2013. Spent 2 years out of coaching, as we see another backdoor cut from Tyree. First year, Howland kind of stayed at the family home in Santa Barbara. Then year 2, did some television work, started to visit different coaches around the country. And he said the time away, Clark, really reinvigorated him and gave him a greater appreciation of the opportunity he's had to be a collegiate head coach.
And he loves teaching and building and molding and shaping, and he has the best team he's had here in his 4 years at Mississippi State. Good recruiting class coming in, going forward. And again, this team is a legitimate tournament team, as is Ole Miss. Again, they've got to validate that, Spiro. We know there's still 2/3 of the season left, but based on what you see and how they've played and who they beat and what their conference is like, they get enough wins, they'll be in the field of 68.
Howland, of course, that incredible 10-year run in Westwood, 3 straight Final Four trips, 06 to 08. But he's won everywhere he's been. Of course, previous stops, Northern Arizona, followed by Pitt, and then ending up at UCLA. But look at what he has built. As you just kind of look around this arena, Clark, there's an excitement level with this basketball team as they are in the top 25 for the first time in 7 years. This is Quindary Weatherspoon now at the free throw line. Weatherspoon, a little bit quiet start, but what a season he's had. 4th leading scorer in the SEC at just over 17 per game.
Well, that Q stands for quiet storm because he can get it done, and you might not even know he's doing it, but he'll be there when they need him to ring the bell. And again, a 3-level scorer, an experienced player, and unflappable in his approach.
Putting together one of the great all-time careers in the history of Mississippi State. Their 7th all-time leading scorer. Shot clock down to 10. Here's Tyree probing the defense. Attacks, going glass, and a chance at 3 for Tyree.
Spiro, we got ballers out here. I know a lot of people may not have seen Ole Miss or Mississippi State at this point in the season, but these are 2 outstanding, dynamic offensive teams. And this guy, Breein Tyree, can get it through contact and also can knock down the triple.
Tyree played high school basketball at St. Joseph's in Metuchen, New Jersey with Karl Anthony Towns, the NBA star in Minnesota. Number of great basketball prospects that have been produced by that school.
Yep.
And what a future this kid has in front of him.
Yes, sir. And tell you, this Ole Miss team won't go away. They've got to be solid with the man-to-man defense. That's a tough shot by Peters. One shot, and often if you miss it, it leads to a fast break.
Look at Schuler. This will be a blocking foul. See, perhaps if the defender, Nick Weatherspoon, was in the restricted area, and now more talking between Weatherspoon and Hinson.
Oh, I'm sorry, Spiro. I was looking at Holman and Schuler, which was actually good sportsmanship, as Holman asked him if he was okay. As we take a look at where the defender was, I think he may have been in the restricted arc area there.
Clark, I think he was actually outside as we get our first look at it. Nick Weatherspoon, meantime, is called for his second. But a very close call. It goes in favor of Ole Miss and Devontae Schuler as the officials now having a conversation.
Yeah, you're right. He's way outside of it. Yeah, good call, Spiro. But I'm not sure if he was there and set. That was the issue. He clearly was outside of the restricted arc. I think that's a good call by the official. He was a fraction late and not set.
Officials going back to the replay monitor. They want to confirm that there was nothing extra after the whistle.
Well, that could happen a couple of times in this one today because of the intensity.
It's a tough game to officiate.
It is. I agree. And so far doing a nice job, this crew of officials.
SEC, of course, last year was the first of the power conferences to incorporate more of a collaborative instant replay. Something that they felt was successful last year. Their headquarters in Birmingham, with the officiating people there now in conference with the officials in the building. But as opposed to what you see in the NFL, the officials on the floor have the final say over any potential close calls.
Boy, that was a really close one, too, because we looked at that other angle from up top, and boy, I tell you, if Witherspoon wasn't there, it was just by a whisker. I thought he was still moving, though. I did think he was still.
See what the rule book says with flagrant ones and flagrant twos. Didn't appear to be anything
no, I don't think there was
but
anything
the officials are still taking a look. That's Devontae Shuler going airborne. And what could have been potentially a dangerous fall. Looks like everyone's okay. But there has been plenty of trash talking, and it started even before the game started. In the pregame warm-ups here, we almost had to send out Clark Kellogg to mediate between these two schools.
No, I'm a lover, not a fighter, man. I don't get in the middle of any of that kind of stuff.
You're the ultimate peacemaker. Officials, meantime, still at the replay monitor. Todd Austin, Jason Baker, and Owen Short. Most played basketball rivalry in SEC history. Mississippi State, 14th ranked in the country, putting together one of the great seasons that they have had here in recent memory. 12-2 saw their 9-game winning streak end earlier this week at South Carolina, and Ole Miss right on the cusp of the top 25. They win today. I'm not sure you can keep them out much longer. As we take one final look at that sequence.
Well, I don't think there was anything extra there that would warrant any type of flagrant foul call. You see Holman and Shuler, good sportsmanship there.
Clark, we love the officials. We always support the officials. It's just too long of a break. Got to decide what the call is here so we can move on.
Yeah, I've proposed a shot clock for the officials in replay review. Obviously, you want to get it right, but I think with a shot clock, you at least would have some level of urgency to move at a brisker pace. You could adjust to that just as the players have to adjust to the shot clock going from 35 to 30. Now, there's some cases where you would exceed that, but just having it there ticking would perhaps help the process a bit.
Have an assist to 0 Nick Weatherspoon and 0 Blake Hinson. Weatherspoon, that'll be his 3rd personal foul. Team 5th for Hinson.
It looks like we'll be getting offsetting fouls.
Blake Henson and Nick Weatherspoon, I did not see their interaction at all in terms of what led to that. Perhaps some bumping and jostling as they came into the. Well, Witherspoon was the one who was called for the foul, so I don't know what happened. It must have been some type of nose-to-nose or jaw-jacking that went on between those two. So point of interruption, technicals offset. The foul was called on the drive by Shuler. You shoot the 2 free throws and you continue playing.
Well, the significance is that it is the 3rd personal for both Nick Weatherspoon and Blake Hinson, who have been big contributors so far in this game. Shuler, meantime, hits on the 2nd, and we have a 5-point game here in Starkville.
And Blake Hinson stays on the floor. Nick Weatherspoon has been taken out.
And Kermit Davis showing a lot of trust in his freshman. Carter goes to Quindary Weatherspoon on the box, and that is an offensive foul. Nicely done defensively by Brian Tyree. And that is the 2nd on Quindary.
Trying to take advantage of his size in the post, but there you see a good job by Tyree. He was solidly positioned, and Weatherspoon guilty of giving him a little too much of a bump there.
Just past the 5-minute mark, first half. That is a 3 from Hinson, and the freshmen lighten up the day here at Starkville.
Well, how about the play of these freshmen on both sides? It's been Henson for Ole Miss of late. Perry and Woodard had a stretch there earlier this half, and Ole Miss now seizing control.
Holman gets it back. Here is Weatherspoon. Coming baseline.
Quiet storm.
Filthy finish by Weatherspoon. And that ends an 8-0 run for Ole Miss. Stevens baseline jumper a little bit short. 4-point Bulldogs lead as we hit the 4-minute mark. Here comes Peters, knifing in, and Adu turned back by Henson. Here comes Schuler, stops on a dime and knocks it down. Devontae Schuler, 14 Wednesday in the big win over Auburn. Some massive threes in the second half of that game. And it is a 1-point difference. Quindary Weatherspoon defended by Luis Rodriguez, a freshman who's come into the game. And Weatherspoon with the answer. Nine points for the senior, who averages just over 17 per game. Here's Schuler, 7 to shoot. Little floater won't go. Stevens tip no, and the Rebels control with Holman. Looks like Holman took a shot in the face. Just trying to shake it off. Under 3 minutes left before halftime. Peters running Rodriguez ragged around the screen. Holman, turnaround fade. Rebound, Adu. Missed the dunk. Weatherspoon is there. A fortuitous bounce for Mississippi State. 5-point lead. Weatherspoon into double figures with 11, and he has scored their last 9 points. Nearly the steal by Carter as we'll get a timeout.
It's a quiet storm blowing to the right, quiet storm.
Monday on CBS, hang out with TV's funniest neighbors in the new hit comedy starring Cedric the Entertainer and Max Greenfield. The Neighborhood, Monday at 8/7 Central, only CBS.
Quindary Weatherspoon, quiet storm. He went thunder right here, though. Boom! Then just rock him to sleep. Left hand finish, smooth as it comes. Right place, right time. Find the pumpkin, finish it off. Oh, he's got a lot in his package.
Clark, I knew you were versatile, but I had no idea you can sing that.
No, I can't sing, but I love that song, and it just seemed to fit. Quiet storm. Old Smokey Robinson.
Beautifully
Classic.
done, my friend. As Blake Hinson putting together one of the best halves we've seen from the freshman this season.
Yeah.
Ben Howland, meantime, livid. So here is Hinson, 9 points, 4 of 6 from the field. He's hit a 3, done a little bit of everything so far for Kermit Davis. Grew up in Deltona, Florida, played his high school basketball at Sunrise Christian Academy in Kansas, was the #1 rated high school player in that state. As a senior last season, he's got 10.
Oh, this is so much fun as a player. These kind of rivalry games, man, it would just get your juices going. Even as a broadcaster, you're excited and hyped. And these young men are putting on quite a show here. Many surges both ways, and we're on pace for 85 plus.
Clark, this is my first time experiencing this rivalry, and it has lived up to the billing. This has been fun. Here's the freshman looking for an opening out of DC Davis. 90 seconds left in a half. Schuler. A reset to Tyree. That's a three-pointer, a little bit short. Long rebound, Schuler. Right back for the doubles.
Boy, he's so rock solid. You talked about the big threes he hit. As Ben Howland wants a timeout. You got to finish good defense with rebounds. Did not, and Schuler made him pay. It's tight here at the hook.
$2.99 for a car hop classic. What a steal.
Steal. That's a heist. Put this on.
Disguise.
I don't think I can eat in this.
It's all part of the plan, my friend.
Get a quarter-pound double cheeseburger or a Slinger Plus Tots for $2.99. Try it today.
The new Axe Ice Chill is here. So whoa, liking machine? Cool down and lower your skin temperature by 11 degrees with the new Axe Ice Chill body spray. Cause you know, you're hotter when you chill.
Minor coming up, AT&T at the half. Adam Zucker, Seth Davis standing by in New York. We'll get you caught up with all the action around the country today in college basketball. All next on AT&T at the half. Kermit Davis knows about this rivalry better than anyone. Spent basically his entire childhood here. His father, Kermit Sr., as we mentioned, the head coach. Kermit, who was born up in Leakesville, was here from about first grade all the way through his high school career. Of course, attended Mississippi State, 1982 graduate. But today returns as the enemy as Holman is called for a traveling violation.
Yeah, he predetermined his move that time. Didn't actually respond to the defense. Was already set on trying to spin baseline and coughed it up in his zeal to get to that spin move.
Both teams in the bonus with under a minute to play.
Good look there across court.
Holman closed well and defended well against Hinson.
He sure did. He averages almost 3 blocks a game and moved his feet nicely there on the closeout.
26 seconds left in the half. Peters controlling here against Schuler. Largest lead for the Bulldogs has been 11.
Credit Ole Miss for closing that gap quickly.
6-second difference, shot to game clock, whistle blown, traveling violation. It's on Peters.
Back-to-back turnovers there, Spiro. And that's an issue on occasion. It has been for Mississippi State.
So it gives Ole Miss the final possession, 10 seconds. They can tie or take the lead on a 3. Schuler has had the hot hand down the stretch. Off balance 3. Back rim, no. Over the glass and back to Mississippi State with a half-second left. Quick inbounds, and that takes us to halftime here at Starkville. 41-39 Mississippi State. Up by as many as 11. Will take a 2-point lead into the halftime locker room. Time now to send you to AT&T at the half as we go to Adam Zucker in New York.
All right, thanks, Spiro. Coming up.
Adidas, Clark Kellogg, both of our first experiences seeing this rivalry up close and personal. What do you think?
As good as everybody told us it was heated. That's exactly how it played out. Plenty of emotion. Love Seth Davis' line talking about you can have emotion, but you can't be emotional because that can cost you. So we'll see which team can idle down. Bulldogs hurt themselves, I thought, with those turnovers in that last minute or two. 3 of the 9 took place in the last couple of minutes.
Ole Miss, big week for them, really trying to validate the team and the season that they're putting together, and they got a nice little push from their freshman Blake Hinson.
He was tied with Schuler for 10 points in the first half and came up big at some key times. Early on, he was aggressive getting to the rim, and then late, as they came back from double digits down, he made a couple of big shots. And for Mississippi State, it starts with Lamar Peters. I thought he was really good for the most part with his decision-making, had 3 dimes. He's going to make some turnovers because he makes turnovers of commission versus omission. His aggressiveness, you give him some latitude, and he knocked down a couple of shots. You see the 5 of 17 from the 3-point line for Ole Miss. Maybe a tad too many threes when you look at they only took 14 twos in that first half.
Our first half stats brought to you by Coca-Cola. The bench point, something that the Bulldogs did not have much of in the loss at South Carolina on Tuesday of this week. It's a different story so far in the first half of this one. Spiro Ditas, Clark Kellogg, rest of our CBS crew, our producer Steve McKee, and Mark Grant, our director. Rest of our terrific CBS crew here from Starkville, Mississippi, one of the most heated rivalries certainly in the SEC. And without a doubt in college basketball, Kermit Davis, year one, the former Mississippi State guard, graduate here in the early 80s. His father, of course, Kermit Sr., the longtime player and head coach, was actually the head coach when this building first opened. And Kermit told us he and his brother were actually the two kids who hit the first baskets in this building, of course, unofficially. His brother Bill, who is no doubt watching this game as well. Here's Olenicek. Anthony Terrence Davis is playing with three personals, poked away by Adu. And the big fella getting his hands dirty. Here comes Tyson Carter to the rack and challenges Olenicek. So Ben Howland tweaking his starting lineup to begin the second half with both Carter and Adu on the floor.
A little more defensive presence.
Olenicek, boy, you can hear a slap as Quindary Weatherspoon may have gotten away with a foul. Ole Miss will down 14 to shoot.
And you also have the foul trouble with Nick Weatherspoon. I think he has 3 as well. Is that correct?
Yes, he does.
Yep, so that may be why Carter got the nod here to start the second half.
Here's Olenicek, denied by Holman. Holman averaging nearly 4 blocks over his last 4 games. Just to touch on how versatile that young man is. Everything he does offensively, Clark, has also been a monster defensively.
Yeah, rebounding the ball and denying shots as he did that time. I know they want to try to get him going a little more offensively in this second half.
Look at Peters filling it up from deep. One of the most improved three-point shooters in the country, Lamar Peters, and Ole Miss wants a timeout. Tomorrow, a Big Ten battle with 6th-ranked Michigan State takes on Penn State, 4:30 Eastern, right here on CBS. Tom McCarthy will have the call with the governor, Bill Raftery, as we take another look, Clark, at that last sequence.
Holman timing it beautifully at the top of the shot, and then Peters walks into a 3. 5 quick ones here for Mississippi State, and that's why Kermit Davis called the timeout. Let's see what they run here. Good pressure defensively by the Bulldogs.
Here's Davis, who had that scintillating 27-point performance Wednesday against Auburn, again playing with 3 personal. Schuler was very good for them down the stretch in the first half. Shot clock down to 5. Look at Weatherspoon knocking it away. Gets it back from Carter and thumps it down with both hands.
Credit the defense there, Spiro. The Bulldogs were engaged and kept the ball in front.
7 straight from Mississippi State to begin the half. Davis swatted by Adu.
Boy, this team, the Mississippi State Bulldogs, have turned it up defensively. Adu. Don't. Oh, man, the defense has been stifling here to start this second half.
Clark, you're on a roll today, partner. Here's the Frenchman, Hinson. Boy, that Mississippi State defense has been suffocating here in the start the second half. A couple of blocks by Adu. Will get a reach-in foul here. But they are making everything difficult, Clark, for the Rebels.
So the Rebels, in response to that, have to be much stronger with the ball. Cuts have to be sharp and very decisive, and then the ball has to hop.
There's Kermit Davis. What an incredible 16-year run he had at Middle Tennessee State, building them into a perennial mid-major power. Most coaching victories in the history of the Sun Belt. Then, of course, saw the Blue Raiders move to Conference USA. They were at the top of that conference, Clark, and finally, 37 years of coaching for Davis, finally getting a chance to be a head coach at a Power 5 school.
Yeah, and you can tell why his teams have always been successful, because they play hard and they play together. They have not been at their best to start this second half, but they will not go away.
There's a pull-up from Carter on the baseline, won't go. as Bruce Stevens corrals the rebound. Those free throws a moment ago by Hinson, ending a 7-0 run to start the half for Mississippi State. That's Tyree, and a late whistle here will put the New Jersey product to the free throw line.
Well, that's one way to stop a team that has momentum going for it. Get yourself to the line. Even though it's a late whistle, let's see. There's the bump. That's clearly the right whistle. I'm fine with late and right. Much more so than early and wrong.
Foul was charged to Holman. That's his second. So here's Tyree, an 80% free throw shooter. Only player in the SEC to rank top 10 in points, field goal percentage, three-point shooting, and free throw percentage.
Yeah, he's a terrific offensive player. He's not been on top of his game. He took that blow to the left shoulder. You see it wrapped up now, but he's still out there, and he can get it going, as can Davis or Schuler at any time. Great look.
Adu, beautiful little hesitation fake.
Well, I tell you what, Holman, despite not getting many shot attempts, he's making some really good plays.
Clark just mentioned Tyree's shoulder. It was a sprained shoulder officially, according to Ole Miss in the first half. Left for a couple of minutes. They've applied some medical tape to that left shoulder, and he's in the game. There is Hinson.
You see the little dance step afterwards? Oh, man, these guys, they're locked in, boy. I'm telling you, both sides loving this action.
The freshman getting comfortable in enemy territory. Peters on the wing now for Carter. One of three different Rebels who are the sons of former Mississippi State players. That's Peters on a three. Adu! Nasty putback! And the kid from Nigeria flexing his muscle. This place is electric. Little floater from Hinson won't go. Knocked away. Stevens. Shot clock resets for the Rebels. We're just under 4 minutes gone by. Hinson from deep. Splash. 18 points for the freshman out of Sunrise Christian Academy. Hinson, their fifth leading scorer on the season, a kid who averages only 8 per game. Quindary Weatherspoon has the quick answer. Well, it never matters what the record is between these two teams. But with both of these programs on the rise, you can feel the rivalry between these two programs heightened even more. Schuler, a little bit of contact, no call. It's kept alive by Buffin. Hinson, why not? The freshman putting the Rebels on his back. 11 of their last 12 points. 3-point game in Starkville. This will be a reach-in foul against Buffin, and he can't believe it. That'll be his third.
Major bowling going down here at the hump. Adu throwing it down, and Hinson has been on fire from 3. Mark it up.
Hawaii is the perfect cure for the winter blues. Begin the new year in paradise with a new episode of Magnum P.I. Monday at 9, 8 Central, only CBS. Well, this rivalry between these two programs, Ole Miss and Mississippi State, nasty no matter what the sport, and Blake Hinson playing the game of his life, certainly to this point. 21 points, career high for the freshman out of Deltona, Florida, and he has brought the Rebels back to within 3.
Yeah, he's got 11 of the 12 points they've scored. And another breakdown, and Witherspoon misses the dunk. Perry, you got that in your game? Maybe not.
Offensive rebound, Adu, and he is fouled.
Spiro,
and if it's on Buffin, Clark, it'll be his 4th.
Wow. Yeah, he's been unable to get himself going as Witherspoon had a good look. Looked like he lost control of the ball as he was trying to punch it. And then there's Buffin inside. Wow, not much there to pick up a fourth foul, but he was out of sorts from the beginning. Picked up an early one and then a technical on top of it. And sometimes that foul situation derails you before you can even get started.
Kermit Davis loves Buffin, was terrific, was the freshman against Auburn on Wednesday night. This is Nick Weatherspoon, misses another little chippy inside. Perry unable to save, and it goes back to the Rebels.
Yeah, Buffin very active, had 16 points in that game against Auburn and very active on the glass. Good look. Weatherspoon loves that little mid-range jump shot. Perry unable to squeeze it. But what we've got going on here, Spiro, is one team relying on the three-point line and free throws. That's Ole Miss. And Mississippi State winning points in the paint.
Look at Olenicek.
Big time move there.
A
About a
running
7-footer.
baby hook shot.
When we show up, the hooks show up. I saw Xavier Simpson last week from the guard position from Michigan throw in a couple of those sweeping hooks.
Clark, I think you're contagious. Here's Perry. A little bit too much, and the rebound underneath by Hinson, doing a little bit of everything now for the Rebels. Here's the freshman feeling it. No off the crossover dribble. Here comes Nick Weatherspoon. 1-point game. Carter from deep. And they have gone stone cold. Quindary is fouled. 11th offensive rebound for the Bulldogs.
Well, when they play that half-court zone defense, the Rebels, it does create opportunities to the glass for Mississippi State. Beautiful move here by Olenicek.
Polish national will take a seat.
Tell you, man, Ole Miss just doesn't go away. And that's a credit to the team, but also to the coaching staff. They keep these guys engaged, and I love the fight of the Rebels.
A lot of people around the country are seeing Ole Miss for the first time. 12-2, off to a 2-0 start in SEC play. They are right on the cusp of being a top 25 team. And look at Perry staring down Stevens. Looks like everyone's okay.
Well, that's about 530 LBs right there, and nothing extra on either one of them. Good presence of mind by Perry to show the ball and get Stevens to the paratroopers club. And there's the obvious foul. But again, the ability of Mississippi State to attack the paint when they're going against this scrambling half-court trapping zone defense by Ole Miss has been the difference, and it's only a 1-point difference right now.
Told you about Ole Miss's big week, the win at Vandy last weekend. Followed that up with the victory over number 11 Auburn. Kind of a program building win on Wednesday night at home for Kermit Davis as his incredible first year up in Oxford continues. But a huge test today on the road in this bitter rivalry with Mississippi State. A program also on the rise under Ben Howland. 14th ranked team in the country as Stevens fills it up from deep. And Ole Miss with their first points off the bench today and their first lead since the first half.
That's a scouting report breakdown. Ben Howland talked about it yesterday. Stevens, when he sets the screen, wants to pick and pop, and you've got to crowd him. They did not, and they paid for it.
Mississippi State has missed 7 straight shots. Fortunate here, they'll get a fresh 30. As Ben Howland just trying to find some offense.
Well, this is where Quindary Weatherspoon has to be a little more assertive. Or maybe he'll let his brother do it this time.
Weatherspoon playing with foul trouble. We had a chance to visit with him yesterday. He said we click on the court with my older brother, but off the floor we're as different as they come. Different personalities. Yep. He said we can't even live together. They live in different buildings here in Starkville. But what an incredible backcourt. Speaking of which, Stevens back-to-back threes.
Scouting report breakdown.
And then a technical foul, I believe, here against Terrence Davis. Officials will sort it out when we come back. College basketball coverage is sponsored by Buffalo Wild Wings. Try our game day menu. The new 2019 Lincoln Nautilus. And by Verizon. Chosen by experts, chosen by you. Now, the last whistle was a technical foul on Bruce Stevens. It was a taunt. After he hit his second three-pointer in the last couple of minutes, you see him turn and jaw at the Mississippi State bench. So 2 free throws and then possession, Clark, for the Bulldogs.
Yep, warranted. That's too much. Knock down your threes, and he's hit 2 back-to-back big ones. And play on. But to back up and be that obvious and taunting the bench, he earned that whistle.
Quindary Weatherspoon will shoot the free throws. This was a 2-point Mississippi State lead at halftime, but they have been outscored 20-16 in the second half. Ole Miss, who did not have a single bench point in the first half, has gotten a spark from Bruce Stevens, young man who had hit just 9 threes, Clark, all season entering this, when he's hit 2 here on back-to-back trips.
Oh, Kermit Davis told us yesterday he's very capable of trying to find the consistency with Bruce Stevens, but he's got a big body and a nice touch. He's given his team a 1-point lead as Mississippi State has found themselves out of rhythm here offensively.
It's one of the first things Kermit told us. So the guy we got to get going is Bruce Stevens. I think they have found the right mix. Offensive foul against the Bulldogs. And the ragged offensive play from Mississippi State continues. It's on Adu. That's his second.
Yeah, he moved too much. Again, you've got to allow your offensive player to run his defender into the screen. You get set. You can't overhelp him by moving your body in the path of the defender.
That's Tyree, who's playing with that left shoulder sprain. Struggling to find his shot. It was huge last weekend against Vanderbilt with the 31 points, SEC Player of the Week. But his struggles the last game plus continue. Peters trying to go backdoor to a cutting Nick Weatherspoon. It was kicked by Hinson.
Now this is where you're operating in the half court. Screens have to be solid cuts, and then Peters is the guy who orchestrates things with his dribble penetration and his decision making critical.
So Ben Howland pacing that Bulldog sideline, trying to get Mississippi State back in the tournament for the first time in what would be a decade. There's a pull-up baseline jumper from Peters, no. And here comes Schuler. Pulls up. That was a three-pointer, no good. Rebound Davis. Little power move, partially blocked by Adu, his third block. Peters into the corner, tough pass for Quindary Weatherspoon to handle. Now to Perry in the box. Left-hander, no. Rebound Stevens.
That's a pretty good look early in transition. Perry just didn't have full possession of it as he went into a shot.
Bulldogs have missed 8 of their last 9 shots. 1-point lead for the Rebels. Hinson swallowed up by Adu, but he's fouled and will shoot free throws. Well, if Ole Miss can somehow figure out a way to win this game on the road, it would be their second straight win over a top 11 team. But I'm not sure you can keep them out of the top 25 at that point. First free throw is good. Up Tuesday on CBS, a judge is just one of the murder victims. Is it a case of retaliation? New FBI Tuesday after NCIS, only CBS.
And Spiro, quite honestly, if this game stays as tight as it's been, and even if Ole Miss doesn't hold on to win, depending on what happens in the bottom of the top 25, this is a team. And you always have more teams worthy of being in the top 25 than there are numbers. So sure. This is a top 25 caliber team, and whether they end up in the rankings or not, I know they'd like to. In my mind, they are a top 25 team, and they will be in the rankings, regardless of the outcome of this one, I think.
Well, certainly an underappreciated team nationally until what they had done over the last 7 days. As we get a whistle here against Olejniczak, Ole Miss has only been to the NCAA tournament twice in the last 16 years, 2013, 2015. But Kermit Davis, year one, already working his magic up in Oxford. Here comes Nick Weatherspoon, beautifully done, dropping a dime to Holman. And he'll shoot free throws.
That's the kind of execution you have to have in the half court. Penetration, eyes up, drawing defenders, and then finding who's open. And then if you're the receiver, you've got to go strong to the rack, expecting contact, and get yourself to the stripe.
So here's big Eric Holman at the free throw line. Quiet offensively, but he's done a lot of other things. This is the season that the Rebels have put together. The only 2 losses at Butler and to Cincinnati, which came on a neutral court. 9 straight wins, longest winning streak for them in 6 years. They haven't won 10 straight. Clark since the 07-08 season.
They're in position right now, and the quality of the SEC will give them a chance to have more quality wins as this season goes on. Good depth throughout this league, and no easy games, no matter who the opponent.
4th tie today. Here comes DC Davis, going airborne. Davis, the senior out of Purvis, Mississippi, a former walk-on, making a contribution. 2-point lead for Ole Miss, and a turnover by Nick Witherspoon.
Yeah, he over-dribbled there. Never really got into anything and was kind of meandering around, and that led to the turnover. You got to be purposeful when you're getting into your half-court offense.
This is one of the top scoring teams in the SEC in Mississippi State, over 80 a game. But right now perplexed by this Ole Miss defense. Davis underneath Olenichek, outside to Tyree. That's a 3. Largest lead for the Rebels. And Ben Howland wants a timeout. Excellent ball movement, and Tyree makes it a 5-point game.
Taco Bell invites you to a world that defies all logic. A place where burritos are filled with delicious nachos or indulgent chicken enchiladas, all for the unbelievable price of $1. No, you're not having a delicious burrito dream. You're eating the new $1 Grande Burritos from Taco Bell's new Cravings Value Menu. Value beyond belief.
There's Kermit Davis making his emotional return to Starkville. Former player here, graduate in the early 80s. Played here under Bob Boyd. His father, of course, the longtime head coach. Davis inheriting a 12-win Ole Miss team this season. A team that finished dead last in the SEC last season. They have made one of the biggest jumps of any team in the country. Mississippi State had just 1 field goal over the last 6+ minutes before that bucket by Quindary Witherspoon.
Yeah, he just muscled his defender that time. You've noticed that Ole Miss has not played nearly as much zone here in the second half. They've been really pretty committed to man-to-man, and it's kept some. Oh, tough shot. Boy, that's a real force there against a 7-footer by Terrence Davis. Not the quality shot you want under that circumstance.
Dew was there defensively. Perry has his pocket picked by Hinson. Up top, Davis unable to finish. And that hurts for the Rebels.
Sometimes you just should make the bounce pass and lay it up. The alley-oop looks good, but boy, keep it simple, and you get 2 there.
Could be a big turnaround if the Bulldogs are able to score here. Witherspoon splits 2. Going glass. Offensive foul. Basket does not count.
Wow.
And that will be number 4 on Quindary.
Beautiful split of the screen of the defenders, and there he was outside of the restricted arc. Holland didn't think so.
Game summary between these 2 bitter rivals. 7:35 to play, second half. Mississippi State up by as many as 10 in the first half. If you've just joined us, make it 11. They were up 2 points at the intermission, but Ole Miss starting to put their imprint on this game. 4 ties, 9 lead changes, and it has been that kid, Blake Hinson, leading the charge for Ole Miss. Career high, 22 points.
And you saw the big difference in three-point shooting as well for Ole Miss.
Mississippi State undefeated in this building this season, 8-0 entering this one. The only loss this season against Arizona State on a neutral court, and then earlier this week at South Carolina. Whistle blown underneath. It's on Tyree, and it'll be a 1-1 year for the Bulldogs.
You know, both of these teams average 80 points a game. And Mississippi State has actually won games in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 3 digits. So while it's not the most comfortable pace, they're capable because they have frontline presence and scoring. They just haven't executed as well in this half, in part because the defense by Ole Miss, I think, eschewing the zone and going to man-to-man has closed some holes for Mississippi State. They were getting to the offensive glass. They were getting behind the zone a little bit in that first half for some backdoor cuts. That stuff has gone away here in the second half.
Tyree, the kid who was fouled, of course, I beg your pardon, it was on Tyson Carter. So both free throws converted by Breon Tyree, their leading scorer at just over 17 points per game. And how about the fight that kid is showing today, the toughness after sustaining a sprained left shoulder in the first half, had to lead the game briefly. And he has been very good here in the second half. Olejniczak gets it back into the corner. Hinson, splash! Biggest lead for Ole Miss. Letting the country know just how good they are. Big shot from Lamar Peters. Boy, how badly did Mississippi State need that shot?
Like bad feet need soft slippers. That's how bad they needed it. But the execution, they've been one pass, same side of the floor, not really moving the defense at all. And then they get beat here by Tyree. No help. Witherspoon with the 3 fouls. But that's a blow by a straight line drive. It's hard to have help if you don't contain the ball a little better off of a couple of dribbles.
Boy, Tyree coming with the heat as Peters once again has the answer. Peters, a junior, grew up in New Orleans out of Landry Walker High School. 15 points in the loss at South Carolina on Tuesday. A couple of big buckets here the last couple of minutes. Hinson. A rare miss by the freshman. Here's Holman, thought about the 3, 1 dribble, fire, and hits, and he is fouled. A potential 4-point play for the senior out of Owensboro, Kentucky.
There's not a prettier stroke in college basketball. There are a number of guys that shoot it as pretty, but when you watch Eric Holman line up to shoot his shot, it's almost perfect. Form, release, and he's got the confidence to go with it. It's been quiet all game, but big bucket there.
Holman entering today had scored 20 points in consecutive games for the first time in his career. Leaves the free throws short. And so Ole Miss with a 3-point lead. Davis over the top of Adu. Beautifully done by the senior. Davis out of South Haven, Mississippi, another local product, about a 2.5-hour drive from where we are here in Starkville. Here's Peters, corner 3, too much. Here's Hinson, gets it back. Terrific ball movement. Stevens from deep.
Everything but. They had the defense scrambling and got a quality look for a good 3-point shooter.
Mississippi State 12-2, 0-1 to start SEC play. Saw their 9-game winning streak halted earlier this week at South Carolina. Peters, and he is fouled.
Both of these teams have players that can go get their own, and Peters is one of them for the Bulldogs. That's a big-time drive right there.
Peters, who came in hot, better than 16 points per game over his last 7. And a three-point play by the junior has brought Mississippi State to within 2.
And you know, in one of those 7, he didn't score. So if you take that one out in his last 6, 19 a game, and 29 of 55 from the three-point line in that stretch. So he's been on fire other than that game where he didn't score a basket.
8-2 run for the Bulldogs as Hinson turns it over. And 11,000 right now bearing down on the Rebels. Here comes Peters, wants to take Schuler, who got him from the back. What a recovery by Schuler. Peters beat him with the dribble. With those long arms of Schuler, able to recover. Under 4 minutes left. Here's Stevens, a couple of big threes earlier. Hinson! He's missed his last 2. Offensive rebound, Schuler. Ole Miss trying to validate the biggest week that this program has had in more than 5 years. Davis going left hand. A dozen points for the senior. It's a 4-point Ole Miss lead. And Ben Howland wants a timeout. These two teams, bitter rivals, giving us everything you want here on CBS. Can start, Phil. Time to revisit our AT&T Fast Analysis.
Well, it's all about Lamar Peters making plays for his team and then making plays for himself. Here he finds Witherspoon for a nice layup and then makes a big and one here. Drawing contact and finishing. And if Mississippi State is going to get all the way back as Quindary Witherspoon returns with the 4 fouls, it's going to be Q and Lamar Peters that I think are going to have to make it happen for the Bulldogs here in the last 3 minutes.
Quindary Witherspoon back on the floor, playing with 4 personals. Beautiful backdoor find to Perry. 2-point game.
And when I say make it happen, they don't necessarily have to score, but they have to make plays.
2 programs in the same state on the rise in the SEC. Pivotal early season game in conference play. Hinson. Challenge 3 over Adu.
Not a good look there. As hot as he's been, that's not a quality shot.
Hinson has missed his last 3. Here's Quindary Witherspoon, left it short. Rebound Hinson, and he is fouled by Perry. And those two get tangled up.
Like to see the hand down after the hard fight for the pumpkin. And there you see he got a lot of arm and got some shoulder and neck too as they hit it out of bounds. But good sportsmanship. Love the competitive intensity, but then you idle it down.
So here's Hinson, the brother, of course, of Evan, who's a 2-sport athlete at South Carolina, football and basketball, and have a chance to play against his big brother later this season. Big free throws here for the freshman, a 1-and-1, with Ole Miss clinging to a 2-point lead. 15 of his 25 points in the second half. Well, tonight on CBS Sports Network, you can catch a doubleheader of college basketball. First, St. John's battling DePaul at 6 Eastern, followed by the Houston Cougars and Wichita State at 8. Tom McCarthy, Jim Spinarkle in the opener, and then Carter Blackburn and Pete Gillen will have the call in the nightcap. Clark, this game has been everything we expected and more. Here's Peters. That's a 3. No. Look at Henson, the one-handed snatch.
Good look by Peters that time. And he's a much improved three-point shooter. That's a quality look at the 3 for him. Now Mississippi execute, space the floor, and let your playmakers try to make a play.
Here comes Tyree, turn back. Block number 4 by Adu.
Easy block here for Adu. Tyree giving up so much size, and with that left shoulder ailing, not able to get into the body of Adu effectively.
Adu has been the eraser tonight. Shot clock at 6. Davis now to Olenicek. Stolen by Weatherspoon. A foot race with Henson. Left-handed layup. No. It's loose. Last touch by Ole Miss.
They'll have to take a peek to see if, in fact, and Q frustrated and disappointed that he didn't finish that one. Just put a little too much on it with the left hand. And I think it'll stay as called. That appeared as though Olenicek was the last to touch it. Yeah, that's his paw is the last one on it before it goes out of bounds. So the Bulldogs will retain possession.
Officials at the score table trying to confirm the call, which is Mississippi State basketball.
Yeah, I think it's clearly off Olenicek.
Now, Clark, here we go. $1.24 between these two teams.
Oh, now you wonder if
a different vantage point.
Yeah, that's another look. Did it go off of Perry's hand?
Officials are seeing the same replays that you are at home.
Wow, that really is close now. I thought clearly initially, but when you get that end zone look, did Olenicek push it off of Perry's hand? This is the one where you get a little confusion. Okay, there it is. I still think it's off Olenicek.
I'm not sure there's enough video to overturn.
Right.
Again, the officials are in conference with the SEC head of officials in Birmingham, one of the few conferences, the only Power 5 conference that has that kind of a collaborative instant replay process. They have confirmed the call, so Mississippi State will have it. Fresh 30 on the shot clock. Clark, who do they turn to here?
You got to get a quality shot. Execute. Don't force anything. Got plenty of time here. You got 84 seconds left in a one-possession game. Wow, and I think they're just going to reset this, perhaps. Terrence Davis and Witherspoon got tangled up there.
Well, Davis has been playing with 3 personals basically the entire half.
I like that. I think they were jostling a bit, and somebody got off balance. No foul.
Here's Nick Weatherspoon from deep. Got it! And we are tied!
He did not hesitate one iota. He acted like he wanted that one. Wow, Nick Weatherspoon, I see you.
Hey, Daryl, would you choose the network rated #1 in the nation by the experts or the one awarded by the people? Correct. You don't have to choose, because,
Oh! Switch to the network awarded by RootMetrics and JD Power. Buy the latest Galaxy phones, get Galaxy S9 free.
At Buffalo Wild Wings, pitchers of beer are $5 for the playoffs. Playoffs? Are we talking playoffs? Yes. Come for the playoffs, stay for the $5 select pitchers at Buffalo Wild Wings.
driving the Chargers into Foxborough to take on Tom Brady and the Patriots in an AFC divisional postseason game. The day kicks off with the NFL Today, powered by Ram Trucks, beginning at noon Eastern right here on CBS. Super Bowl just around the corner right here on CBS. And we will be watching Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson, and the rest of the crew tomorrow. 63 seconds left in a tie game here at Starkville. Stevens bobbled it, 8 to shoot. Tyree waving him off. Here he comes into the paint, lays it up and in, and Ole Miss back in front. Brian Tyree, fearless. Here's Quindary Weatherspoon, off target on a deep three. 30 seconds.
Only a 2-second difference. You probably got a foul if you're Mississippi State.
Still a 1-and-1 situation, as that will be the 9th team foul against the Bulldogs. Next one puts Ole Miss in the double bonus.
Late in the clock, Tyree puts his head down and gets by his defender. Everybody was lifted, so there was really no help. Big time play by Brian Tyree.
Schuler, a terrific free throw shooter, 85%, misses on the front end.
Got to try to get something going to the bucket. And you want to do it reasonably early if you're Mississippi State.
They've got one timeout left. Here comes Peters. Contact. No. Adu had it. Tyree stole it. Last touch by Mississippi State. The interior defense by the Rebels. And 10.9 seconds remaining. Ben Howland takes his final timeout. Down 2 here in Starkville. Miss will have the basketball, a 2-point lead, 10.9 to play. Mississippi State, Clark is out of timeouts. What's Ben Howland telling his players?
It's going to be a quick foul if they get the ball in. Pressure, try to force a turnover, but if Mississippi gets it inbounds, you got to foul right away. And then contingent upon what happens at the free throw line, you'll either be down 2, 3, or 4. But the first thing is you want to try to force a turnover, and you have to foul immediately. You really can't try to pick who you're going to foul. You want to maybe, because they're good free throw shooters out there for Ole Miss.
Howland puts his big center on Schuler. The inbounds quickly to Tyree, and he is fouled by Nick Weatherspoon. So a double bonus now for the Rebels. 2 free throws for Brian Tyree, the junior out of Somerset, New Jersey. And he is an 80% free throw shooter, 9th best in the SEC.
And he's the kind of guy you want at the line if you're Ole Miss, because you know he relishes these opportunities, an opportunity to perhaps seal it. Make it a 2-possession game if he can cash in on both.
SEC Player of the Week. 31 at Vanderbilt last weekend. And the kid has shown some incredible toughness. Sprained left shoulder in the first half, had to leave the game briefly. But he has gutted his way through and has been huge for them in the second half.
He sure has been. Extremely impressive work by Brian Tyree. And this Ole Miss squad. Man-to-man defense primarily this second half, a big part of why they've got a chance to get their second top 15 win in the week.
A couple of free throws by Brian Tyree have given Ole Miss a 4-point lead, so it's a 2-possession game. Both teams are out of timeouts. Ole Miss fresh off their biggest win of the season, certainly the biggest under first-year head coach Kermit Davis. They beat number 11 Auburn at home on Wednesday night. Boy, how big would this win be for this program?
Large. Humongous, really, at this stage of the season. And it's a rivalry game. I mean, that adds to the level of magnitude for these teams. And it's another road win in conference play if they're able to hold on. Mississippi State's got to rush it up. You know, Ole Miss doesn't want to foul, so just drive it and try to get a quick 2.
Here's Nick Weatherspoon. That's a deep 3, well short. Rebound Schuler, and it is over. Ole Miss with an exclamation point on a monstrous week. Their winning streak now at 10 as Kermit Davis's Rebels get to 13-2 on the season. And for Mississippi State, a second straight loss in conference play and their first loss at home this season. As these two heated rivals writing the latest chapter in this SEC rivalry.
Oh, it was a good one. What an impressive job by the Ole Miss Rebels. Just continued to fight. And I thought the defense in the second half was significant. They got a lot of guys to make plays, but defensively, they changed things up and got it done.
Blake Hinson, the freshman, with a career day, 26 points. Now for Clark Kellogg, our producer Steve McKee, our director Mark Grant, rest of our CBS crew, Spiro Dita saying so long from Starkville. Tonight on CBS begins with NCAA Los Angeles, followed by 48 Hours. Coming up next, Inside College Basketball presented by Progressive Insurance. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports, home of the 2019 Men's National Championship. We'll get you to Adam Zucker in New York right after this.